What's going on, Jarrod Crooks?
Oh my gosh, are we starting already
We're
just like
starting
that?
already. Yeah. Couldn't get enough of the Keep It Wausome podcast, huh?
No, no, every time you ask, I'm like, are you kidding me? This is my dream. I just wait around. I just wait around for you to ask me to be on again.
I know it is. It is the dream of many dozens of people to be on the Keep It Wausome podcast. So
Yeah, if you're from Wassa and you're
yeah,
not on this podcast, you're kind of like a nobody, right?
yeah, exactly. So I see you actually wore a Jurassic Park shirt because the reason I'm having you
Yeah.
on today is to talk about Jurassic Park because it's back on Netflix. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I brought some friends with me too, so
you did. Look at that, the T Rex.
I had that when I was a child. I had some Jurassic Park toys. Was a big fan of those toys. I took that thing with me everywhere. There was a one of the T-Rexes I brought on the bus, and there was a kid that was like, "Can I borrow your T-Rex?" Because there was a time when people borrowed toys instead of, I
Yeah.
don't know what they borrow now, but I never got it back, so I had to rebuy it.
Yeah, it's not even going through here. So can you still hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can still hear
Okay,
you.
so obviously it's not going through the headphones. That's weird. Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. I watched the movie again, and
Hmm.
you're a filmmaker, so you appreciate all this stuff. But yeah, so this movie was almost 30 years ago. I mean, 27 years ago by my
Hmm.
count, 1993, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And it's amazing how well it holds up.
It's actually amazing how that was like the first time they CGI'd animals, dinosaurs like that.
Right.
They were planning to do it stop motion.
Yeah.
That's how they were going to do these dinosaurs. And I think it was what do they call it? ILM. Is that what it was? Somebody at ILM showed them here's kind of where we're at right now. And Spielberg was like, I, I can't, I have to do it like this. I mean, they still had some of the
Yeah.
robotic dinosaurs. There was a big T-Rex. And that, I mean, even that was impressive
Yeah.
how big that dinosaur was.
Right.
But yeah, that was kind of like the first time they really did CGI. And I know Terminator was around the same time where they were kind of, doing the liquid
Hmm.
uh, Terminator and those kind of things. But yeah, it you look at it and you're like, why does this look so good? But some movies today with their CGI still looks bad.
Right. How is it so much better? Yeah, what I read was that it was the scene where those that herd of dinosaurs is running across and they have to hide behind the log.
Hmm.
Like that apparently was the scene that blew Spielberg and his assistant away. They just were like, "Holy, like no, this is what we're doing." Yeah, why is it so good when stuff 10 years after that still looked kind of fake?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I know they didn't overuse it. I know part of the reason they couldn't overuse it is because it took so long to render just one frame at that
Mhm.
time. So they were very careful and they made sure that they got the lighting right. And I mean, I think some people just rushed through it and they're like, whatever, we'll fix that in post. There's like this kind of misunderstanding of how maybe it works sometimes. And when you look at the bigger budgets, you can kind of tell. But Jurassic Park, it's just, I don't know. It's amazing how well it holds up, and the toys, they hold up so
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how old you were when they came out. I did the math today and I realized I was 14 when the films came out, and
I
you
would
know,
have been like,
the
yeah,
first
8 or 9.
the first scene where there's actually a dinosaur, I just remember being totally blown away, like, whoa, this is so cool.
Yeah, it was certainly one. My mom wouldn't let me watch it when it first came out. Like I said, I think I was 8 or 9 years old, and she saw it once it was out of the theaters on VHS, and she's like, "It's too scary." And I was like, "Mom, I have to see the dinosaurs. You don't understand." So she finally let me see it, uh, and I loved it, and I was obsessed. And that's when it's like I needed every like toy possible, and I would. They had a special that came on TV about how they made the movie and how they created the dinosaur sounds, and Mr. Darth Vader himself hosted that program, and it was
Earl
just
Jones.
yeah, it was fascinating how that thing came together.
I was reading to get the one of the challenging things of the film was to get the water vibrating when the T-Rex made its stomps.
Yeah,
Apparently,
yeah,
it was harder than they thought. Of what they ended up doing is using guitar string. They found out the strumming a guitar actually got the right level of reverberations where it looked like it could be a dinosaur stomp. So then they actually ran those under the car and played the
yeah.
guitar strings to get the water to shake like that.
Yeah, Spielberg is always very creative. I don't know who would have actually came up with that. It's like, well, we're gonna have to get some guitar strings and put them under the car. Here's what I'm thinking. Like, it's a great story, but I'm thinking sometimes, like, who's thinking up this stuff? Somebody's not on set and be like, oh, we can't figure out how to get the water to vibrate. And so it's like some guy is there strumming his guitar and be like, what about that guy? Maybe we could use his guitar string.
Hey, you, get over here.
Yeah, I think that was something that was probably figured out like early on, because I feel like someone like, tweaked that story a little bit to sound like we did it on the day of, we figured it out.
Well, I don't know. Don't you find yourself in those kind of situations when you're making films where it's like, oh wait, that didn't work the way I thought it would. Let's try
Yeah,
that.
yeah, absolutely. There are times you're gonna cut, and I think that's what makes great filmmaking, honestly,
Yeah.
is that you need to, like, I guess in Jaws, the mechanical shark didn't work, and Spielberg was like, well, we just won't show it, we'll just show the fin. And that made the movie so much better, because it was more terrifying when you just saw that fin coming and you didn't see the shark until much later. So it's like when you see the monster right away, that's not, now there's nothing left of the imagination.
Right.
So it doesn't leave you like, oh, what's it going to look like? So
Well, in fact, that was the whole thing behind the water vibrating in the car in the first place. Is like Spielberg wanted you to feel the presence of the dinosaur before it got there.
yeah.
Usually it does, and it's so damn cool. But
And then
it has to give you
what is
that
it,
bit of
when
suspense.
you finally see the T-Rex, it's like this goat leg comes on the car, right? And then they're panning up and you're seeing this blood. And then you're kind of looking through the blood and you're seeing like that's just the great. Spielberg is a master at character introduction. Absolutely masterful when it comes to that. If you look at Raiders of the Lost Ark and the way that he introduces Indiana Jones for the first time. And he does this with every single character. He's just so good at it.
Mhm. So why are all the other Jurassic Parks so terrible?
Well, that's a great question, and maybe it depends who you talk. Maybe there's certain people that love some of the other ones more than they should.
Yeah,
Uh,
maybe.
the Lost World is weird because, and Spielberg did direct the sequel, Lost World, but it's not that it's bad, but it just does not compare. And I think it's mostly in the writing. And there was this thing, they wanted to do the dinosaur at the end of the movie where it's in the city, but like it doesn't, it just feels like it's a little out of place for
Yeah.
that movie. But I think Spielberg was so gung-ho about like, we need a dinosaur in the city, it's going to be awesome. But the story is not really like the novel, because I think they started working on the script before the novel was done. But I think Michael Crichton.
I would say Crichton.
Crichton.
Yeah.
So he was working on the novel, and it seemed like he was basing it more off of the movie Jurassic Park than his original novel, because the movie was such a success, because Malcolm actually dies in the book, but then he's the star of The Lost World. And it's like, wait a minute, in the book he died.
Yeah.
So, how they made that work, who knows? It's like there's something is not connected. Why? To answer your question on why the other ones are so bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think there's definitely some monetary gain there. From my understanding, he actually got paid. I think he sold the movie rights before he even finished the first book. Like I
Yes.
think he got like 2 million out of it.
And
Plus,
I think it was at the same time, I think it was Spielberg and Crichton who they developed the show ER. And
yeah.
it was,
So interesting enough, he was actually working on ER as a movie. Spielberg was, and then Jurassic Park came along, and he ditched ER
Yeah, he's like,
Jurassic Park, and then ER eventually became the TV show.
I wonder if it was like Spielberg was like, okay, well, I already did E.T. and now I want to do ER. And but then he's like, you know what? Though, no, I got to do Jurassic JP.
He's like, I only work on films with 2 letters.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Go on.
Indiana Jones, IJ, Jurassic Park, JP, and ET. That's just how I do
3 letters for me. Yeah.
So the as far as I don't really mind. So when they redid they did Jurassic World with Chris Pratt. I think that it was fun. When I first saw that movie, I liked it. There were some cheesy parts in there for sure that I did not enjoy.
By the way, was that film supposed to be, it was supposed to be a remake of the original Lost World?
No, did you see Jurassic World?
Jurassic World, no. Yeah, I did. And I haven't seen Lost World in a long, long time.
The Lost, yeah. So Jurassic World.
Movies. That was, yeah.
It's definitely not a remake.
No.
It's like the park is reopened. They renamed it Jurassic World. They finally got the park up and running. And that one wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it was like entertaining. It wasn't, I didn't think it was good per se, but it wasn't, it was like, all right, I got my $8 worth or $10 or whatever a movie costs these days.
Yeah. I think the third one, that one was rough, but at the same time I was excited for that one because Sam Neill was returning and I really liked the character Alan Grant. He was like my favorite character.
Yeah.
But then
although funny side note, by the way, apparently Harrison Ford was up for the role of Alan Grant and turned it down. And I guess when he saw the movie, he thought, oh yeah, that guy was better anyway. That was a better choice for the role. So he didn't regret not taking the role.
Yeah, I heard that. And there was a part of me that was like, oh, that would have been kind of. Can you imagine Harrison being in all these movies that are just like,
yeah,
these films that have such a legacy?
I mean, you could see it. You definitely could see him playing that role.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, but it was kind of. You could see similarities to like being an Indiana Jones type character, and maybe that's part of the reason why he's like, I don't know, do I want to do another character like this?
Yeah, and if I had to choose between the two, maybe it's just because I saw it and it was so long ago that it's ingrained in me. But I just don't. I can't see anyone else but Sam Neill playing.
Oh no, and I am excited that he's coming back for this Jurassic World 3.
Interesting.
Though the last Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom was questionable, but it's so weird how like technology has allowed us to create such beautiful looking films, but it seems like writing a story is the hardest thing in the world for these people to do, and to give us something that's just a solid story, because it's just like there's always something in it where you're like, why did they decide to do that?
Right. I like Chris Pratt. I think he's a good actor. I really enjoyed him in the Guardians of the Galaxy series. Thought those are great movies. Like, enjoyed both of them. There's just 2, right? I'm always behind on
yes.
these.
Yeah.
I did.
Unless you count him in the Avengers coming in there.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're gonna add that on there, but I don't know. Jurassic World, it didn't really do it for me. I thought it was kind of cheesy in a lot of ways.
There's moments, yeah.
It was entertaining enough, that I didn't feel like I got ripped off or something. But the fact that it wasn't like a dino, it was like a Velociraptor trainer. It's like, really?
Well, I think they were trying to, make them seem like animals again. I think that's what happened a little bit with, like when I watched the third Jurassic Park, it felt like a monster movie to me. That's why I was like, in Jurassic Park, the first one, they felt like animals, just big animals.
Interesting.
And I always felt like that was something, because when I'm watching Jurassic Park 3, I'm like, this feels like some sort of like B monster movie. And I feel like they kind of like went back to with Jurassic World to make them feel a little more like animals again, with Chris Pratt like training. I have figurines that are falling over back there. So Chris Pratt training these
before the T-Rex comes and eats you.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like, I think there's a vibration here, and like the T-Rex is coming. So yeah, I think that's what they were trying to do.
Mhm.
Chris Pratt, training animals, because they technically are animals. They're not
Yeah.
monsters as if they would. But then they went back to feeling like a monster movie, sort of, in Fallen Kingdom. And I just like, they just can't get this right. Why are they have something that works, and then all of a sudden they're like, you know what? Let's change it because it's working so well.
Well, I feel like the premise of of any sequel is always going to be flawed because the first movie was about learning our lesson. Yeah, we can't mess with nature. We can't bring back the past. It's too dangerous.
Hmm.
We're not having proper respect for this stuff. All the mistakes they made in the first movie. The characters made and as part of the story. I mean, not filmmaking mistakes, but mistakes as part of the narrative. It's like, well, you can't do. They left and like, yeah, I think this is a bad idea. Like the last thing Sam Neill says is, yeah, I can't. I can't endorse upon further consideration. I can't endorse your park.
Right.
John Hammond says, neither can I, or something like that.
Yeah, and so those are the things that kind of
Anytime you're going to make another movie, it's like, did you not learn your lesson? You're doing this again.
Yeah, and that's what's weird about the John Hammond character in the sequel is he says that I can't I don't want to do this either. It's too dangerous, basically, is what he's saying. And then in the Lost World, he like is talking to Malcolm, Jeff Goldblum's character, and he's talking about how they have these dinosaurs on this other island, and he's all excited about it, and like, yes, we're going to preserve these. It's like, what are you doing, messing with nature? I thought you already learned your lesson. And I think even Malcolm made a point to say that. It's like, John, you're making all the same mistake. You're making all new mistakes, but it's like the same thing. Like, what are you doing? Or we've already made this movie.
Now, you read both the books, right?
The first one, I
Okay.
just kind of know about the
Okay.
second one, but I haven't really. I don't.
I know I read both of them, back when I was 14, 15, around the time when the movies were coming out. And I remember liking both of the books, but I don't remember enough to, though I'm trying to figure out, I think I want to go back and read them now because I wonder if the book's premise made sense for why there was why we're in this situation again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would be interested to know that as well.
I mean, besides the obvious money issue.
I think that's what it really boils down to is like, man, this was
Cha-ching.
extremely successful. We need to write another one, Michael. Get another one of these out here.
Yeah,
Gonna
if
be
I got if I got $2 million for a book I hadn't finished yet, I'd probably write another one. I'd be like, yeah, I'll do another one, sure. The
yeah, and
dinosaurs are back. You got it.
I wonder if it's so your heart and passion it's gonna feel different when you're trying to write something based on money than something where it's like, this is my
Yeah.
passion
Oh,
project.
for sure. Yeah, I
Although I
think.
do remember Jurassic Park, the book, being a lot more violent. Like he was very descriptive about how bloody and gruesome like the deaths were.
Right.
And they wanted to make it PG-13. There's a part of me that almost wants to see like a rated R Jurassic Park film because I just want to see how gross it really is. I mean, and it is violent in the movie, but only PG-13 violent.
Well, did you know that James Cameron had considered making it, but Spielberg snapped up the rights
Oh,
faster
is that
than he did.
right?
Which is funny. Apparently, he wanted to make it more like aliens with dinosaurs. Or I should say Alien with dinosaurs.
There was going to
He
be
was
aliens in it.
what?
There was going to be aliens in it.
No, more of the tone of the 1986 Alien.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. So
So he wanted that darker psychological feel to it. Definitely
okay.
would not have been. I don't think it would have been a PG movie had that been the case.
Well, and Jurassic Park has moments that feel like a horror movie,
Yeah.
and I like that, and I think that's something that is missing from the new ones.
Mm.
I mean, just like going back to that's the water vibrating and building up to seeing that's scary. That's scary. And like the kids, like when the T-Rex is pushing down in that vehicle and it's getting stuck in the mud, like those are very scary. That was a very scary moment in that movie. And even when Samuel L. Jackson's character, like his arm comes out and she turns around and it's like ripped off and she's
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
that's a horror film.
Yeah. How great was Laura Dern in that film, by the way?
Well, I mean, it solidified her career.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
that's where everybody remembers her from.
For sure. Yeah, I know she was in other stuff. I can't name it off the top of my head, and I didn't really look her up. I know she's had
Yeah, did you ever see The Founder? Uh,
no.
Michael Keaton playing the guy who founded McDonald's. Well, she plays his wife in that movie.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that movie's really good. If you get a chance,
Yeah, that sounds interesting. I think I'm gonna put that on my list.
you should go and end this interview and go get it right now.
Yeah, see you later. I'm gonna go get it. No, I mean, as I was a 15-year-old or 14-year-old boy at the time, so I definitely appreciated Laura Dern for sure, for a lot of reasons.
Oh, is that okay? I can't say that she ever appealed to my human needs that way, but I liked her character.
Like the character, right?
Absolutely. It's so weird, and I think about, you're thinking about like crushes that you had at that time and maybe because I was 8 and not 14, that
Oh
probably
yeah.
made a difference. But I never had a lot of those. My bedroom was weird because it would be like, Elvis Presley and or Indiana Jones and like these kind of things. But there was never any females on my wall. I always had these male crushes on my wall.
Interesting.
I start to wonder, it's like, does he like women? Because there's just men on his walls here.
Yeah, I think she seemed kind of like the hot teacher type, I think.
Yeah,
That's what I kind of.
I could see you. Yeah, I could see you enjoying that.
Yeah, but it's 14. It is what it is.
Yeah, and I liked,
Yeah.
Indiana Jones, who was also a hot teacher. So
Yeah, and speaking of I'm glad you brought that up because I think one of the things that I don't think you can not talk about. Wait, hold on. I just double negative myself. One of the things you got to talk about when you're talking about Jurassic Park is how good is that score by John Williams?
well, I hum it all the time still. Yeah,
Da-da-da.
everything that John Williams does is the most memorable piece of music you can. I don't know how he does it.
I don't know. He's a master of melody. Like, because if you think about it, it's not just Jurassic Park. You can hum Indiana Jones. You can hum Superman. You can hum like several themes from
Star Wars too, right?
Yeah. What?
Yeah, Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
And I don't know of any other composer who's had that much of an impact where multiple movies that feature his stuff have these themes that just stick with you.
I would say the only other one, maybe not quite. John Williams is on a little bit, maybe another level, but Alan Savitsky, what's his name? Alan. He did like Back to the Future.
Oh yeah, great film.
And he did the theme for the Avengers. I mean, so he's up there with John Williams, but John Williams is a little more, powerful, I think, as far as like.
I don't think any other composer has had more iconic themes than John Williams for sure.
So does that mean that also Spielberg has more iconic movies because of
It's probably helped a lot. I mean, that makes a big difference. If you're walking around and you're humming the theme, you think about the film more, and maybe saw it at the video store. You're like, you know what, I'm going to buy that today. I mean, I don't know. I think all that stuff adds up.
Yeah, I mean, the team that you surround yourself with when you make a movie, I mean, Spielberg won't be Spielberg without that John Williams score. I mean, it all like has to come together, and your script too. I mean, you can make a movie. We're at, like I was just saying before, we're at this point where making a movie, it's become easier because the technology has allowed that to happen, yet we can't get us a story right. And you would think it's like we can make these movies look so slick now, and that's why I think there's a lot of remakes. So it's like, hey, that was dated, let's redo this, and then all of a sudden they mess it up somehow. But I don't know why they're remaking classics. That thing doesn't make any sense to me. I think you should take something that that had potential that they messed up, and you fix it and make it better. But they don't do that.
Has there ever been a remake that you were like, oh yeah, this is I'm glad they did this?
Well, there's one, but it's probably because when they redid the Karate Kid with Jackie Chan, I was excited because it was Jackie Chan, and the movie it still was actually not too bad. The movie, I felt like it was a little long. They probably could have trimmed it up a little bit, but that one didn't seem horrible to me.
I didn't see that one.
No, yeah, if you watch the original, and that's a classic, everybody loves the Karate Kid.
Yep.
The fighting is just better. You know, that the fighting in the original, when you watch it, it's not good.
No,
it's actually it's pretty terrible. So bringing Jackie Chan in and updating it, and I thought that was a smart idea. Though using Jaden Smith, I don't know, that I'm not sure about, but it was okay.
Have you seen the Cobra Kai series?
No, and you told me to watch that, and it's now on Netflix, so I will probably do that now.
Good. Yeah, you got to put that on your list. That's good. They did a good job with that.
Because that was on like a premium YouTube or something, right?
Yeah, I found a way to watch it, but and say that on there. Cut that part.
You found a way. Life finds a way.
I don't even know how to spend that. Yeah, I paid for it.
Yeah, you're always paying for your entertainment. Mm-hmm. Just like this, people pay a subscription fee to watch this podcast thing, right?
Yeah, but I do have a Patreon. Sign up today. Rawr. Hey, by the way, I was going to bring that up about we were talking about the mechanical T-Rex before. Mm-hmm. Apparently the thing was pretty scary, because it would turn on its own sometimes. Like they were always having problems with it, and like sometimes it would just turn on its own, and like when that thing moved, it could really hurt you. Like,
I have no doubt. Yeah, I knew that they were having problems with it because they were filming that scene and it was raining. Mm-hmm. And the T-Rex, when it would get too wet, it would start to shake.
Right.
So they had to keep patting it down with these like towels. But yeah, they show some of the behind the scenes footage of that T-Rex shaking, and that enough was frightening for me to look at. Apparently,
if its head whooshed by, it was like a bus going by. I mean, it was. People were like, "You got to be careful." Like they had to have safety meetings about the T-Rex because it was a pretty dangerous piece of equipment.
Do they still have that, or do they like tear it down? Because if that thing should be in its own museum somewhere.
Well, I heard that each of the main starring actors got one of the Velociraptors models to take home.
Oh, really?
So some of them still like have them in their house, and they're like. Well, I think one of them, I forgot who it was. I think maybe it was Jeff Goldblum, like put it in his entryway. So like when people open the door, they see this Velociraptor like crouched ready to get him.
That would be awesome. And I can only imagine when the cast from that film, when they pass on, how much that's going to auction off for.
Oh, God.
Everything. All the money in the world. Like, I need that Velociraptor.
Out of my league, that's for sure.
You know, going back to, you mentioning Harrison Ford was offered the role. You know, Jim Carrey auditioned for Jeff Goldblum's character.
No way.
Yeah. And he was close to getting it, from my understanding, but they decided to go with Jeff, which I'm glad they did, because Jeff is just fantastic.
Yeah, what would that have been?
That leather suit that he wears.
Chaos theory. Alrighty then.
Yeah. Like all of a sudden it's Ace Ventura, like at Jurassic Park. I love all animals.
So is Jurassic Park one of the films that inspired you as a filmmaker? Like, did it make you want to be a filmmaker?
No, I wouldn't say that I thought about that at the time, but I remember when I really was getting close into wanting to do film, that behind the scenes video that I saw of Jurassic Park was probably more of an inspiration to get into filmmaking than the film itself.
Interesting.
Because I was fascinated about how they did it, and I love the idea of mixing real life animal sounds to create these dinosaur sounds, or they're using like the sound of a dolphin for the Velociraptor, but it was mixed with like monkeys, or I don't remember what. I know a dolphin was one of them, but they were getting like sounds from a cow, and they would just mix all these things together. And I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, I heard they did that for the T-Rex too. It was like 8 or 9 animals that were all mixed together, like a
Yeah.
lion's roar and a bunch of other stuff.
Right, yeah, like a lion's roar. Yeah, and then I forget what they did for the Dilophosaurus. I want to say there was some sort of bird in there, like a
Oh yeah.
chicken. I don't even know, but
Yeah, apparently you're talking about that was the dinosaur with the two thingies on its head. The one
that
that
was like, yeah, when it would open up and
yeah,
spray
yeah.
the stuff at you.
Yeah, apparently that was one of the things that was that dinosaur didn't do either of the it didn't have the thing that opened up and it didn't
Oh, right, that dinosaur didn't have that. That
yeah,
was
they made
something
that
they
up
made up for the
to,
movie.
you
But
know,
how
make the movie
cool.
cooler. That was kind of funny too. Like, there's a lot of big names like in that film, like Sam Jackson. I think he was in Sphere as well, which is another Michael Crichton
Hmm.
novel turned into a film. And of course Newman, the guy who gets spit on. I can't
Right.
remember the guy's name. Newman.
Yeah,
And it was right when Seinfeld was really picking up steam and getting a lot of attention.
yeah. You it's hard to almost like think about like, well, because I don't know if Samuel L. Jackson was even really a star at that time. He was like a working actor, and then he landed this role. But now it's like everybody in that film. I mean, even the John Hammond guy ended up playing Santa Claus in the remake of 34th Miracle, whatever thing it was.
Miracle on 34th Street.
Yeah, that's it. Christmas movies.
Which is funny because I mostly hate Christmas movies. So it's funny that I know the title.
Yeah, you're like, how dare you botch my favorite Christmas movie?
Yeah, right. No, as long as you leave Christmas Vacation alone, we're good.
Is that your
It's,
favorite one? Speaking of actors and Christmas movies, I hear that Chevy Chase is a big old pain in the butt to work with.
oh my God, so bad. So bad.
I've never personally worked with him, but
No, even heard people on podcasts talk about like bad stories they've had with him. Like he just sounds terrible.
which is too bad because he's fun. He was fun to watch, and then he was it that show Community? Is that the
Oh,
show that he was on recently?
love Community.
Yeah, and that was going well, and for a while, I guess he was like kind of decent to work with, but then all of a sudden he became a big old pain in the butt again.
Yep.
It's just in his blood to be a poop head.
Well, yeah. So this all helps play into my theory that he was the bad guy of Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, that's why they cast him, because they're like, we need a bad guy.
Seriously, I think low key, I think he's the villain of the movie.
In fact, I think they were considering him to play a dinosaur in Jurassic Park, but he was just too difficult to work with.
Yeah, I found the T-Rex is a little easier going. So
Yeah, they built a machine
we're
instead.
gonna go with T-Rex. Like, it's not working out, Chevy.
I think at that
Right.
point his career was already in the toilet. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, it's funny. He was the '80s guy. He was one of those. It's funny how some actors become associated with a particular decade, and like that's their decade. And other ones transcend them, and they go on for they don't. They might go from the '90s to the '80s to the '90s to the 2000s or whatever. But
Mhm.
Chevy was definitely one of those ones. Like '80s was his jam.
Right.
And even though you might see him outside of, like you said, he was on Community, which was a great show, one of my favorites of all time, actually. Yeah, he was definitely a guy from the '80s.
Yeah, it's like uh, Tom Cruise, I would say, is one that he's just had a very long career.
Yeah, he's a great example of just, he's kind of kept going.
I think that he is I think it's because he's a passionate filmmaker. I think he just loves making movies. And if you can find success and you're passionate about it, I don't think that, I think Chevy like enjoyed doing what he did, but I don't think it was like once the paycheck started getting bigger, and then I think like his ego took over, and that's a dangerous thing. to happen to a like a talent or an artist, is having your ego get in the way. And
Maybe it's the Scientology. He didn't have the Scientology, so he was mean.
that's what it is. It's
Tom
Tom.
Cruise had the Scientology, so he's got
Yeah,
that on his back.
that's why I'm thinking about converting, because I'm like, aliens and
In
volcanoes
Hollywood.
or whatever that's going on with that thing. Do you know about what do you know about Scientology?
I know it was founded by Ron L. Hubbard, who was also a very prolific and kind of terrible science fiction writer,
Yeah,
who apparently founded this cult.
but he wrote this up, right? That
Yeah, he
basically.
pretty much made it up. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Is it? I don't want to get too controversial here.
There's like some weird thing with meters where they take readings with a particular meter, and then they tell you how you can improve it, and that's how they kind of draw you in. And I think there's like some things about it that are supposed to be kind of good, like, but they tend to be really cult like in the sense of like once you're in, it's really hard to leave, and you almost have to escape to get away from them.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That it's not easy. And
So if
so,
you're like Tom Cruise, you kind of get like skyrocketed to the top of the organization. So like he didn't have to go through all the steps that like a normal person would.
yeah, and I think, and maybe that's why he's okay. But he likes it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
they treat him like I mean, he's like the poster boy for them, right?
that's my understanding. Yeah.
If something goes on long enough, like Scientology, which has everything to do with Jurassic Park, by the way. What is, but when something goes on, let's say like Christianity, right? I was a born and raised Christian,
Mhm.
and it's been going on for a very long time. So at what point, like, they make you believe this is like a real thing. They make you believe this is real, like Jesus died on the cross. And let's just say, for the sake of discussion, that Jesus didn't die on the cross. But this is something they wrote up, and this is something what they're going to make you believe. And if so, okay, fine. There's a lot of people that believe that, and it makes you kind of like a good person. Faith, treating people good. But let's just say it's all a bunch of BS. Now, in Scientology, is that the same thing? Like, the good things about it, even if it's all made up, but it's going to make you a good person, is that what's most important?
I think what happens is that you end up. I think they take a lot of your money.
Okay, but so does a church, right?
And
A
they take up
church.
a lot of your time too. Like you have to spend a certain amount of time performing these services, and I don't remember exactly what's all involved. I heard a couple of people, like former Scientology people, speak on podcasts, but like it sounded pretty awful. So I don't know if that quite applies.
Oh, so it's not quite the same.
Yeah, yeah, because it's more cult-like, and I think even like sometimes stuff with like Christianity, at least historically, have been pretty bad too. There's always I think whenever you have an organization like that, when it's about like group identity, then whoever's not in the group is often going to suffer the consequences.
Do you know the story of Lilith from the technically Lilith, I think it's Lilith, would have been in the Bible. She was like supposed to be an equal to Adam. Do you know about this?
Oh, no, I don't know about this.
You have to look this up. It's a real thing. So what happened is, the story of Lilith was, she was an equal to Adam, but the church decided like, we don't want women to feel like they are equal with men, so they actually took her out. But my understanding is Lilith kind of became like a bad angel or something. No, maybe not an angel. Don't quote me on that. But look it up, man. If anybody's listening to this, you have to look up Lilith. And yeah, she was an equal to Adam, and the church decided, hey, we don't want to have that. We want women to think they are. So this is kind of like a church thing, is that they decided they wanted women to be under men. So that was starting early on with this stupid, man being the superior, being.
Well, it's interesting because some of the earlier societies pre-Jesus era were actually matriarchies. And a lot of those stories that are in the Bible came from much older stories. And from what I understand, a lot of the stories that were based in a matriarchal culture, they kind of flipped them around so they were more patriarchal, to
Oh, is
fit
that right?
the whole narrative, Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, everybody's got an agenda, I guess.
Yeah, so, I mean, the stories that people rewrite, they remake. See, they're already doing remakes.
They were doing remakes before movies were doing remakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you know what? This isn't really working. I think we can rewrite that. Yeah.
Genesis 2, the remake.
That's right. They're like, hey, did you get the new updated Bible? Like, oh no, I didn't. It's like, you have to read it. They fixed all the problems.
This summer, Jesus is back, and
Oh, speaking of that, they did Mad TV years ago. Did like a Terminator thing where the Terminator was sent back to save Jesus.
Oh God.
You have to watch it. It's so funny. Like, Jesus is like the Terminator comes in and he like kills Judas, and then it's like Jesus like, why did you kill Judas? He said he was going to betray you. And then it's like, I know it's supposed to happen. And he brings Judas back to life, and then he shoots him again, and it's like stop it. It's like, no, you stop it. It's silly. It's
Come with me if you want to be born again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then at the end, when Jesus is like dying, or he's carrying the cross or something, then you see like the Terminator there. It's like, don't worry, he'll be back. Yeah, that's how it really happened, by the way.
Oh, that is what happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another rewrite from the Bible. They took the Terminator out.
Yeah, they took him out because it just didn't fit the agenda.
It fit the narrative. Yeah. So what are you watching these days?
Well, nothing. I can't even go to the movie theater. No. I was going to go to the movie theater, and I saw that they were playing Jurassic Park on the big screen, and I almost considered to watch it again on the big screen.
That's tempting.
Yeah, but then I didn't. So, because I had to wear a mask, and I was like, ugh, I can go home and watch it without a mask. So.
Yeah, I struggle with that too, because I'm like, I get why we got to wear masks, but like if I don't have to, like if I can just avoid the activity, it's one thing if it's like walking into a store for 10 minutes or something, all right, I can put it on. But if it's like
you have to go shopping.
It's a thing where you're gonna pay to enjoy something, it's kind of hard to be like, well, so I just gotta sit there with the dumb mask on. We got glasses, they fog up. You can't avoid it. I tried all the tricks they tell you, and it doesn't work. They fog up. So it's like yeah, if I'll do it when I have to, but if I don't have to, I'm not going to purposely like sit somewhere for 2 hours and
right.
Yeah, like you said, you can just stay at home.
That's how I felt about it. Although they said if you want to eat your popcorn or your drink, you can take your mask off. And I was thinking, I could just drink and eat the whole time.
Yeah, you're just like chomp, 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 chomp.
Yeah. And I imagine that it's not going to be that packed where I can probably find a spot in the theater where I'm just like, all right, I'm good. I don't need to worry about, but yeah, just the fact about wearing it and watching a dinosaur movie. Like, what if I want to scream for help? Then they might not hear me through the mask.
Yeah. So I heard, maybe I shouldn't be saying this if it's unsubstantiated, but I heard a rumor that Cedar Creek might be closing.
The entire thing?
That's what I've heard.
Really?
I don't know if it's true or not. I haven't been able to verify it yet, but it's something to look into.
What would we do if there's no? Well, in Wausome, that's the theater.
It's crazy to think about, isn't it?
Well, they better get that one up and running by the Sears. That never happened.
Yeah. I wonder if they'd revisit that now. It's like, well, you got the building still exists. I mean, you could put it there.
Redo Shopko.
Oh yeah, you could put it there. You could put one there too.
I remember when the
I
Crossroads
was
used to
just
be
gonna
there
say
at
that
that.
Crossroads is right there anyway.
Yeah.
I
I
think you
don't.
gotta
I
do
don't.
it differently. You gotta have it like it has to be like a dinner type of Has to be
Oh
like
well, yeah,
you
absolutely.
have dinner
You
and
would
beer.
update the theater to be like the most modern, technology available in whatever theaters are now. I mean, that's what theaters do is they're constantly trying to get you back in and doing new things with those reclining seats and whatever they do. So
Yeah, I have to admit, the last time I went to Cedar Creek, I enjoyed it more than I usually do. I thought, well, you got these nice seats to sit in. It's a good idea.
I
Spread
so
out.
I like the assigned seats thing, or it's like you go online and you pick out your seat and you then. But if you don't do that and you're not up, like let's say you're not really tech savvy and you don't like to do all that buying online stuff, which I don't know why now. But if you just go there and you want to get a seat, let's say you're early and you're saying, oh, let's go early and get a seat. That doesn't mean you're going to get a good seat. There might only be like two left. That's way in the back. It's like, well, this is dumb. I came here for nothing. And then so that's kind of unfair to some people.
Yeah,
So
it's kind of hard to like meet your friends at the theater too. Like either they have to buy it and you have to pay them back, or like because otherwise, how do you
right,
get like, or you have to like sit there on the phone with them and coordinate while you're buying your ticket.
right.
That's a little tricky.
Yeah, and then you're buying their ticket, and it's like, yeah, I'll meet you there. And then they get there, it's like, okay, it was $15. Like, oh man, I totally forgot my wallet, man. I'll get you next time. And then they never go to a movie with you.
I know. Yeah,
And that's
you
why,
gotta hope they like PayPal you or Venmo you or something.
yeah, see that. Oh my gosh, yeah. So there was somebody who uh, they wanted to meet up and they wanted me to help them with something. And I was like, yeah. And it's like, well, how much do you want? And I was going to do it for free. I was like, I don't know. You don't have to pay me. It's like, no, I want to give you something. I'm like, I don't, $10. It's like, okay, okay. And then we do this thing. I help him out. And then it's like, do you have a Cash App? I'm like, no, but I have Venmo and I have PayPal. If those works, like, oh man, I don't have either one of those. And I was like, oh, it's like, I'll pay you back another time. I'm like, why do you even, whatever. I don't care. If I was going to go meet somebody and I would just bring cash with me. That's what I would do. Just say,
Right.
but I guess you can't even use cash now.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? Because like, what would you do even with cash though? Like, you can't guarantee that you're gonna get a seat by your friends.
Oh, well, yeah. I honestly, I just will buy everybody's seat. If they pay me back, great. I will look at it like, okay, I'll get the seats. And if they don't pay me back, then it's like kind of whatever. I've done it for my family a number of times where I get the seat. It's like, oh, did you need me to pay you back? It's like, well, that would be nice. Like, well, thank you. I'm like, oh, okay.
Hey, did that guy ever pay you the $10?
Oh no,
No,
no, not at all.
no.
And I don't care. I'll yeah. I mean, so I wasn't able to eat that week, but it's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, nutrition. We can save that for the following week. It's fine.
Hey, so those of you who clicked on this link in this video or listened to this podcast and thought
Like
it
and
was all going to
subscribe.
be
Hit the this button.
yeah, hit every button possible, but they probably thought it was all going to be Jurassic Park, but boy, were you wrong. We're talking about
Uh-huh.
cults and everything.
Well, maybe we can start a Jurassic Park cult, and that'll bring it all back around.
Yeah. But the thing is, I'm wearing this shirt the whole time, all the way through, so that kind of
Mhm.
makes up for it.
I know. So you're more you put more into it than I did. I just showed up. You're like you actually went and bought a shirt for it. It's pretty
I
cool.
did because I was going to go buy a webcam with better quality, but instead I bought this shirt.
So one last thing I'll cap off about to talk about Jurassic Park is so I looked it up on Rotten Tomatoes and it had 91% positive tomatoes or however they say it.
Mm-hmm.
It had most of the tomatoes. 91% of the
They
tomatoes.
had quite a few tomatoes, yeah.
Then I was like, well, wait a minute. What are these 8%? Who are these 8% that are saying like, the film sucks, right?
Yeah.
So I went and looked and like one's like it's like, oh, they made it into a kids movie, so it sucks. Like, shut up.
Yeah. So there's always those people where the movie can be really good and you're like, then you go and start reading these bad reviews, and the stuff they're nitpicking about is like, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean this movie is what? Like they're mad about like oh, like you said, like it's a kids movie, or it's like there wasn't enough blood or something like that. It's
Yeah.
like, so that made it bad. Get out of here.
Yeah, I know. And it was like one of them was like from the Los Angeles Times, like their review. And I was like, are you serious, man? And then the stuff that they point out is so ridiculous. I
So
wonder how
I
they
think
feel now. Are they like, wow, I really got that wrong? Or are they like, oh, history will still vindicate me?
no, I think what happens certainly for a movie like that. So it's based off of a book. They read the book.
Mhm.
They go in and they watch it. It's not like the book. Bad, naughty. Like, I think that's what it is sometimes. But if you never read the book and you just go watch this movie, and
Mhm.
you're not thinking like, this could have been rated R and it would have been better, I think that we would have a lot higher ratings on a lot of movies.
Right.
Because there are movies that I'm just thinking about. The heck was I? You know what? I don't want to think too long because people don't want to sit here and listen to me think or hear me
Mhm.
not think. But yeah, exactly. If they get past like the book stuff, because that's going to give you bad reviews all the time, it's like Harry Potter or whatever it is. Like, it's not like the book. It's like, I know it's not like the
Yeah.
book.
Well, it's never going to be. It's 2.5 hours of film. It's not going to be. You're not going to make up for 800 pages of book or whatever it is, right?
Right.
You have to come in. I think you have to come in with a certain expectation and take it for like what it is. And usually, I think the successful films that are made from a book or another source material, they take kind of the highlights of that. They take the
Right.
emotional moments and they get the right, they get the pacing right. That's when it's good, and they don't try to cram too much in. Like I remember watching the Spawn movie and thinking how horrible that was. And the main reason is they tried to take 50 issues of a comic book and put it into one movie.
Hmm.
And so the result is like it was just kind of a hot mess.
Like watered down.
Yeah, it's like too much. They like try to do too much, so you never really feel like you got a sense of it. Where it's like they could have focused on one story arc.
Yeah, yeah, that's always a problem, I think, when you start getting into that stuff. Where is the balance when you start getting into, because like there's a lot of I think Marvel has actually done a really good job with like taking, but they have a lot of movies and they actually will like kind of build these stories through other
Yeah,
movies. It's like a very new way to do movies, and they're the
yeah.
first to do it, and they've done
I'm
a
glad
great
you
job.
brought up Marvel too, because that was sort of the trope in film is like there's no good superhero movies. There were comic book movies. They were always bad until like the exception I think was Michael Keaton's Batman. That
Mm.
was a good first exception. But then even after that, it was kind of like there's that one, but all the other ones are pretty much bad. And then X-Men came out, and X-Men changed the game. You know,
Yeah.
you came away from X-Men and you're like, wow, this is really good.
Yeah, it took a long time for them to, well, and the thing with Marvel is they were selling the rights to their characters to a lot of different studios just to survive. And that's why like the Hulk was owned by Universal, and X-Men is owned by 20th Century Fox, and they were giving away some of their really popular characters. And that's why when it got to Iron Man was a very like people knew him, but he wasn't like the Hulk. He wasn't as famous as that. So they took a chance with taking a lesser known character, and now Iron Man is like the guy, right? Like he's the coolest character. And then they started bringing in like Captain America, who again people knew, but he wasn't the X-Men, or wasn't Wolverine or anything like that. So, but now those characters are so iconic.
Well, it's crazy what Marvel Studios has become. It's like now it's like a film gestalt that also happens to have comic books.
Right. Yeah.
Which is such a reverse from what it was. It was like the comic books were the thing, and then the movies were sort of this extra thing thrown on top, and that's totally flipped around now.
But I love what they've done, and I'm curious to see how long they can keep it up.
Yeah.
I mean, because this is supposed to be like that those first 23 or 24 movies, and the first, when where the Avengers Endgame kind of like tied up that first, I don't know what you want to call it, like book series or whatever, movie series, and now they're going to start the next one, and they're going to bring characters back, but they're going to continue. I'll see how long they can keep doing this.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta admit, like I kind of got bored of all the Marvel movies. Like I watched a lot of the early ones, but then I just thought like it kind of felt like you're just seeing the same film over and over again. Like I don't know, it just lost I just lost a lot of interest in it once they got to, the third or fourth Spider-Man or something like that. And I was a huge Spider-Man was like my jam growing up. So um yeah, I did, but it got to the point where it's like, yeah, okay, I think I've seen enough of these.
Yeah, now they can all burn in hell then, honestly.
Yeah, you go right to hell. You go right to hell, Hulk, man.
What's that?
Yeah, Iron Man, just go fly into a lake, huh?
Yeah, that's what it's like. Yeah, why doesn't the Hulk just kill Iron Man and then like he should eat a bomb and blow himself up so this is all over with? That'll never happen because it's making too much money for them.
Oh yeah.
Everything comes down to money, Brian. Don't you know that? Everything comes down to money. And that's why we have all these Jurassic Park movies that are shit.
Yep. Yep. I think that's the bottom line. But at least we got one good one.
We got one.
It's back on Netflix. Check it out.
It's all, yeah.
Well, I don't know. We think we talked Jurassic Park to death enough?
No, there's actually a lot of stuff we didn't cover because we started talking about other stuff.
Really? You got other stuff? You got other Jurassic Park things?
Uh, no, I don't. No, I think I'm good.
Oh, you were just throwing a curveball at me. I see how it is.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
well, I can tell you that it made $50 million on its opening weekend, which seems small and compared to today's numbers, but that was pretty good.
It was big dollars back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The movie only cost what $63 million to make.
It's gotta be
They like
scary.
got all their money back in one weekend.
It's gotta be scary to be the financer in a movie. You put all that money into it and hope it. You gotta just hope it like does well.
Well, I wonder when you're a company like that, and would it be similar to us? Like we don't have all that much money, so like what do we say that's equivalent to like putting 10 grand into something?
Yeah, I mean it depends on who you are, I guess. I don't know. I don't know much about the people who finance movies, but it's still a big chunk of change to put in. 63 mil. I mean, I don't know how many investors they get and how that works. I don't think the studios have that money. Maybe Marvel does, but
I don't know. I mean, because Universal Pictures is the one that made Jurassic Park. I think they had money.
don't they usually get investors to fund films though?
I don't know how that all. Maybe I bet you one of the investors slash sponsors would have been that the shaving cream company that had their shaving cream thing in there.
Barbasol.
Yeah, Barbasol. Yeah, they probably put in some money.
The Raptors like, "Rah." Wait, hold on.
Yeah, right. I bought some Barbasol when the Jurassic World came back out because I had a dinosaur on it, and I was like, I'm gonna shave with this tonight. I shaved with the can, not the cream.
Did you try opening it up to see if there are little dinosaur embryos or DNA inside?
Yeah, it wasn't opening, so I took a hammer to it, and yeah, it was a complete and utter mess.
Well, how do you feel? How do you feel about this? I think you've promoted yourself to co-host, occasional co-host.
I think that it's great, honestly. I'm feeling a lot more fulfilled now, and I can't wait until the next time.
Do you feel like your life has purpose again?
A little, because now it's something to look forward to, and it's like, okay, I don't like. At first, I kind of thought, this is it. I'd be okay with dying tomorrow, but now
Now you're like,
now I
"Yeah,
have
there's
to
a,
live a
there's a
little
thing on the
longer.
horizon." Yeah.
So
Yeah,
whatever we're
I
going to
think
talk about
I
next
think it'd be
time, I
cool.
have to buy a T-shirt every time.
Yeah, you don't have to do that necessarily. If you
Oh,
want to, though, you do seem to like buying those things. So, but I thought, yeah, every time we could pick. I thought every once in a while you could come back on and we can pick a movie that we both watch, that we both like, and we can watch again and talk about it for 45 minutes to an hour or so.
so are we gonna do good movies and bad movies? And like I like how we're talking about like what we're gonna do in the podcast. Like people are gonna be like, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do?
They want to know. Yeah,
Yeah. And we're here to tease them about it.
yeah, it's coming. It's coming up. You're gonna see more Jarrod Crooks on the podcast. Let's the
Is
episode.
that a snake behind you or what is that?
Oh, that's a dragon. That's a dragon that was created. It was actually made in Japan, in the
Oh,
small village in Japan that I visited.
oh
There's a
nice.
guy who does like airbrush. He just did it like right there. It's like it's pretty impressive to watch.
So it's not a caricature drawing of yourself.
Yeah, it is. It is me as a dragon.
Okay. Then it's cool. All right.
Cool. Okay, we'll wrap it up there. But as always, keep it awesome, Jared.
You too, yeah, stay awesome. And look at it's Donald.
It's keep it awesome.
Oh yeah, keep it awesome. What did I say?
You're like be awesome, or I don't know. You said something stupid. You want to be my guest host, man?
Yeah, okay.
Get out of here, Jared Cooks.